now. Welcome to the Whispers in the Shadows podcast. I'm Super Jimmy.
I'm Miz.
Continue our conversation from last week. We're going to be finishing up on the verses, the horror verses, and then we'll go into a secondary topic. What if the bad won in horror?
Which me and Jimmy have already discussed, not in detail in anything, but we already have like several in our back pocket that we want to bring up.
Yep, it's like a $5 bill. You're ready to give that waitress as a tip. You're just like, I got you.
That's the $5 football that you go and get it into a fucking glass of water, and then you're like, fuck.
Yeah. You're like, oh. But I'll kick things off. My first one up, honestly, and this one's gonna be another situational one. But The Ring versus The Grudge.
That is a very, very specific one because the thing is that I have a problem with that versus is really, really hard because again, you only know their crimes pretty much after no one really sees it other than, they do visuals of like what happens when they put in the tape and see and everything. But it's like to get them to go against each other, you would pretty much have to do this, put two TVs right in front of each other, throw the VHS and play it and then go from there. And it's like, how would that work for one?
Like the only possible way I could get this to work in my brain is you would have to watch the movie. You'd have to watch the VHS or the DVD, depending on which version you're talking about, because they tried to do that. That was terrible. But if you,
know about that.
Yeah, they did a whole thing where they converted it from VHS to DVD, and I think even Blu-ray at some point. Which, anyway, but I think the only possible way I could get this to work in my head was you would have to watch the movie while you're being hunted by the Grudge. So like have like the little cat boy or I forget her name. Her, if you had her like in your hoodie, like when she did in the third one, when she came up and like all you see was her hands like come up onto the girl's face and then like snatch her into the hoodie and then she just went.
Yeah,
So,
no, I see it that way. I was thinking more of like you are technically like we were talking about with Wishmaster and the Cenobites.
Oh, yeah.
What I think you would have to do in a sense is essentially like kind of put a mirror, point both TVs to where you can see it, both TVs see at you, and do it that way. That would be like the only logical sense in my head to really get them both to see each other and technically quote unquote fight for you or against you, whatever you want to use as the words. But that's the only way that you could technically get all three parties, get the two out. And again, you being the catalyst that started it all, but to get them go against each other. But the thing is that we don't really know, I would say, stats on them, if that makes sense. Their strength, their telepathic abilities and so on and so forth. So it would be really, really hard to justify one over the other. And plus, full disclosure, I have not seen those movies in fucking years, so I don't even remember how they go.
So for The Ring, she has powers outside of the VHS, but she really doesn't come into, I guess you could say, full swing until the seventh day. I just karate chopped my microphone. Until the seventh day. And that's when she comes crawling out of the TV and makes you do the whole friggin' like, and then sucks the life out of you face. And then for The Grudge, it's kind of, like The Grudge itself plays more of a cat and mouse game, but in a similar sense. Like it doesn't let you get too far away from it without it always being right behind you. Because it in the I think it was I'm pretty sure it was the third one. It followed some girl that had been there for before the first movie took place, and had followed her all the way home to America, and had like she was standing in the hallway. And then found another victim, which led it back to Japan, where the first. I think this was supposed to be a prequel in a convoluted roundabout kind of way, but
Destination 5, got it.
Yep. And it was like, oh snap, that's the girl from the first one just walking into the house for the first time. Yeah. So like it started in the house, came to America, got picked up by somebody else, taken back to Japan. And then the first one starts and you're like, what?
It tried to do the full circle so they can justify, hey, the series is done in a sense, because that's sort of like what the Final Destination did with the last
Yeah.
one. Because like I remember watching and going like, man, they have some really old fucking phones, and they keep talking
Yeah.
about this Paris trip, and all of a sudden like comes full circle at the end. You're like, mind fucking blown. That one's a lot better of it in a sense,
Yeah.
but it's a great way to wrap up the whole thing.
Yeah, because I remember the first. I remember watching all the Final Destinations. Love them, great movies. Even though
the
they're
third one.
the third one was okay if you had the special DVD to where you could choose their deaths.
It was a little bit better, yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, oh my god, 3 is just so bad. Well, I think it's 3. That's the one with the fucking was it the amusement park? No, the one that has the fucking
The amusement park
Daytona
was
or whatever.
that was the fourth one.
That's the
That was the fourth
that's the fucking terrible one. Oh my god, I
Yeah,
fucking hate
that one was bad. That one was bad.
4 is so bad.
So the way that it goes is first one was plane, second one was bus, third one was theme
Was it a
park,
bus?
fourth
Technically, it was just the bridge in general. Third
Yeah.
was the amusement park. Fourth was the fucking circuit, and the fifth one is I forgot how the fifth one was. I've only seen the movie once.
I think the fifth one was the bridge. The second one was the one with the logs. That's why
that's why I know that
irrational
one's
fear
on
of log
bridge.
trucks.
Yeah, I think that movie specifically solidified everyone freaking out. Hey, look, there's a log truck. We're gonna stay like 8 different lanes over and
Yeah.
like, either a million miles ahead of it or miles behind it, but nowhere
Yeah.
near that.
Yeah, like even to this day when I'm driving, I will legitimately speed past the log truck just to get away from it because I'm just like, no.
Yeah. Oh no, I feel you because as soon as you see it, you're just like, and we're flooring it to 100, so we're way ahead of that. I don't want to have to worry about that in front of me.
Yeah, because like it's one of those irrational fears. Like log trucks and umbrellas, I have as an irrational fear. Funny, there's a horror genre anime called Another. That's the name of it, Another. And if you ever watch that anime, I highly recommend it. It's good on gore, it's good on story, it's good on characters. Like it's a good horror anime. It's one of my favorites.
I'm the kind of person that's just about gore, as you can tell by the picture right
Oh,
here. Fucking,
yeah.
I'm honestly like my favorite horror genre, other than slashers, your fucking paranormals and so on and so forth. Like mine are body horrors. That's why Cronenberg films like sit so close with me. Body horror, I love seeing what someone comes up with their head, and that's why I love creature features as well.
Honestly, I don't really catch flack for this, but I got a lot of like, what is that? My favorite body horror, honestly, is the original The Blob from like the 1950s. The one that's like
fair. That's fair.
That's still like black and white, and you can kind of tell that it's either the 50s or the 60s. I think it was.
I mean, I know there was one in the 60s. Or was that 70s? I don't remember. But I know what you're talking about.
1967, I think, was Blob Returns. I don't remember,
but I know which ones you're talking about. It's like there's depending on who you talk to, at least that I know of when it comes to horror movies and stuff like that. It's like when you hear The Thing, I always specify John Carpenter's The Thing.
The Thing, yes.
The Thing and The Thing from Another World.
Yeah.
So
I didn't like
the
prequel of The Thing. That was.
I appreciated what they tried to do. I hated how they heavily CG'd it, because if you ever watch the behind the scenes on that fucking film, they had everything drawn out and animatronically functional. And the director was like, this looks like a cheesy 80s movies. I don't like it. CG everything. And I was like, you fucking missed the fucking assignment. The animatronics and doing it that way makes movies so much better. I mean, I'm a sucker for animatronics, even if it's like in small films or like, I mean, not really small films. You can't say like Jurassic World small film, but when they do their animatronics, it's alive. You can see this thing, you can touch this thing, which makes it that more horrifying.
Yep, I have to agree.
When you see it all CG, you're like immediately like,
There's actually a werewolf movie that I have to applaud for using that approach. It was a movie from the early 2000s, 2010s era called Curse with Christina Ricci.
Yes, I know that one.
I thoroughly enjoyed that movie because it was a person in a werewolf suit, and you're like, it like even with its cheesy jokes, its approach and everything like that.
I was just gonna say the joke of like what you don't want to deal with the werewolf from Stephen King's Silver Bullet made for TV.
Oh god, that was so bad. That was so bad.
Who done it? I wonder.
Who did this? Who did it? But yeah, like I love animatronics in horror movies. To
We
circle
got
back
sidetracked
to
on that one. Circle
yeah,
back
we
to
did.
the verses.
For me, honestly, I would have to give this one a draw because
I
even
can
if they
definitely see that.
because if they were to come at each other, even if it was over a specific person, no matter win or lose, neither one of them can really die because the thing that keeps the grudge going is just the amount of hate that it has to keep its power, going. Because even when they burned the house down, even when they dug up her body at some in um the original Japanese version, I think they
Mhm.
dug up her body and they tried to like salt it and like pray over it and stuff like that. And everything was fine for like a month, and then like the girl went home one day, and then the cat boy got her, and like it scared the shit out of me, like the literal shit, like because she like shut the door and she was like, and then she turns and Catboy's like right there, and all I hear is "Meow," and I was like.
No, I feel that. I would say it's a draw mainly because for two reasons. One, I don't have enough information on it, but what I do
Yeah,
know, I
same.
feel like they wouldn't be able to really, like you said, kill each other or claim
Like,
victory unless they get
yeah,
again said person that's their victory.
yeah.
And two, the outside forces that kind of control, especially in horror movie tropes and stuff like that, that control the movements of everything. It's like hard to say which one it would favor because there's
Yeah.
so many factors. Like how does the VHS tape continue to go everywhere, or how does um, the Grudge go everywhere, and so on and so forth. It's like there's so many like small factors to try and get
Mm-hmm.
into there that I don't have enough information to like clearly say who would win. I would like to say, just because I remember watching it first and back in the day, would be The Ring, but that's
Mm.
biasism and I can't really say why. It's just
Yeah.
what I would prefer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think this one is both a situational and a
Yeah.
preference because of the simple fact that like both of them are kind of I would go as far to say that both of them are similar in power, but not to the same aspect. Like I forget the name of the little girl in Ring, but she could only appear in reflective surfaces, whereas the Grudge could manifest itself wherever it chose. It could be in an empty hallway and just hi. It's
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
"Ugh."
I thought that
And
was a shit, not a ghost.
ah, creepy croaking lady.
Exactly. Exactly. And what was the other one you had?
And the other one is Ash Williams versus the Wishmaster. Because I found that the way that I've always seen the Wishmaster is that he, even though he's a djinn, he's very, very similar to the Deadites from Army of Darkness.
To a degree, yes. To a degree,
Yes.
no. But remember, the Deadites are also with the Necronomicon.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main key piece right there. So it's
Right.
hard to really do Ash versus technically a literal demigod in a sense. However, I mean, he's already kind of taken them on, especially with Evil Dead 2.
Yep.
Little bit of information, especially that I got insight to after seeing, Army of Darkness with Bruce Campbell. um,
That's why I
did
brought him into
not
this because I was
know.
like, ooh.
I did not know that the reason why they had to retell literally Evil Dead 1 and 2 repetitively, Evil Dead into Evil Dead 2, they had to do a recap. Evil Dead 2
Mm-hmm.
into Army of Darkness, they had to do a recap. I did
Yep,
not
yep.
know because it was 3 different studio companies for one, and
I didn't
2,
find out that.
they could not retain the rights to everything. So that's
Wow.
why they're so different. So when you watch the original Evil Dead, it's Sam Raimi's, don't get me wrong, but it's one company. Then
Right.
you watch Evil Dead 2, it's by a different company, but they have to do a recap of the first one because they can't just boom right into a second one. So that's why there's that whole recap. And then same with Army of Darkness from Evil Dead 2. They do a whole recap of it again because it's a whole nother company. And it's the only one I think that actually had to get the ESPR rating or whatever it was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were able to get through 1 and 2 unrated.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to dock them. They were trying to dock them on Army of Darkness as an NC-17 movie, even though there was like no nudity.
Yeah.
So a little bit of information that I learned from hearing Sir Bruce Campbell talk.
I did not. I honestly knew none of that. But that honestly explains why a lot of the effects kind of changed and some of the makeup
Drastically.
changed on like on some of the actors. Like when you had the evil Ash versus the good Ash, when he made like a little clone of himself when he was going to get the Necronomicon in Army of Darkness. I remember that vividly because I had that on VHS and I loved to watch it because it was just so funny. I had the director's cut.
Oh, I love that movie. But
It's
also, I've learned from that film is that anytime you see Sir Bruce Campbell or like with a prop or anything like that, like poking him or like jabbing him in his nose or like punching him or whatever, that's all Sam Raimi, because I didn't know they went to high school together, and he's just fucking like, how hard can I do this to Bruce?
that makes me laugh because I remember in the Army of Darkness when he's going to get the Necronomicon from the spoiler alert on a
37-year-old, no wait, 91 I think is when it came out. So 29-year-old, oh no god, no, it's like a 30-year-old movie. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like 32 to 32 because I'm 30. I'll be 31 this year. Anyway, yeah, the 32-year-old movie was that when Bruce Campbell falls and then you got like all the skeleton hands that pop up and grab him, and then you got the ones that like come up and like fish hook him, and he's like, that's thinking that Sam Raimi standing behind him like, ha ha, just it makes it so much funnier. Oh my god, that is hilarious.
That movie's gonna be 31 this year. Holy shit.
Yeah, and then you also have the Ash versus the Evil Dead franchise,
series, which I have not watched yet.
I haven't either
because I heard it's nothing but good. But
same.
It makes me sad because I don't want to start a show that I know has no true ending, because what happened was too many people were pirating it, which caused the company to lose the money. That's why they cannot finish the series.
I heard they kind of, from what I heard from a interview from Bruce Campbell back in like 2018 ish. It was after the show had already finished on their last season. He said that the ending was rushed, but I didn't know that people were pirating it that bad. Like it was
pirating to the point where they're like, we're not gonna. This is it. We're done after this. So I mean, I know people. I understand. Blah 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 blah. Don't need to hear it like defended or anything like that. But
yeah, no, we're not knocking it. We're also not going to defend it at the same time.
Exactly. It's
what it is.
Can't tell you what to do. But that's also why it's one of those. For me, my biggest thing is like I don't mind supporting it in that way. For one, and two, it's like I just don't. I hate when I know what's going to happen in a sense, or it's like it's not going to be what you would have gotten, and it makes me upset.
I have to agree, because that's kind of what happened with because I've been a big Supernatural fan since it came out in 2003. So I had been
season 7.
Continue. What made me keep watching it was because the last season before, always like I would go on a bender of just watching the season before and then waiting for the next season to come out, because they always had their end of the season in October every year, and then they pick back up in February
too, because March. You hear was it Carry On My Wayward Son?
And what made me honestly fall in love with the show was I had watched the pilot. It came on. It came like, I'm gonna catch hell for this. I liked Smallville. I did. I loved that show.
I'm not a Smallville person, but that's also because I'm not a Superman person. But
I'm not either.
About the show.
Will
I ever watch it? Fuck no. But I've heard good things about it.
It honestly was not a bad show. It was a good introductory thing to Superman, because they've reintroduced Spider-Man so many times in the comic books, the shows, the movies. Everything. And then they never really had like what happened after Clark landed on Earth to when he became Superman, and Smallville kind of filled that gap.
For more modern generations. I mean, if you grew up with comic books and so on and so forth, and you started like not from the very beginning, but as close to the beginning as possible, you know there's the pocketed either flashbacks or so on and so forth to all that, and which is totally fine, nothing wrong with that. But my biggest thing is, honestly, I don't really give a fuck about the in-betweens unless it's like a very specific, heartfelt story. For instance, for me, I'll go on a little tangent right here. I absolutely love Spawn. That is like no hidden fact. But it's like everyone's so focused on the Malbolgia, Overkill, Clown, Violator, all these other different ones. But it's like my favorite parts are like one of my favorite arcs ever is the Four Brothers, where it kind of like completely
Ooh.
takes Spawn out of his whole element, and it's like making you see the human side of him still suffering because of his
Yeah.
family still going, and so on and so forth. And
My
it's
favorite arc
those
was
things
right
like
after Got His
specifically
Memories
is where
Back.
I would like that. That one's also good too. But
Yeah,
like
because
that's what I like on flashback specifically. So
yeah,
it's really really hard in movies or TV shows for me, where like again, like we talked about the thing. I appreciated what the prequel did, but I'm also very disappointed on what happened.
yeah,
But
because
I
the CGI
again,
just ruined it for me.
exactly
really
the CGI is what really killed it for me for one. But what I like is again, it's like how do we literally see what's already happened? We already know this complex is going to go down, but it's like how are we going to tell this story to show it? So when you see it, the original, it's like okay, this is where they were trying to go with it, or this is that spot they shot. This is where they were going with that, and so on and so forth. That I appreciate. Again, whether I agree or not is a whole nother story because most of the time I don't really care about it. It's like give me the moment now. I hate time travel. I hate the whole prequels and then making like a shitload of different sequels for no reason. That's my big problem personally, but that's a personal thing. I can still accept everything for what it is.
That's honestly what made a lot of people, and from people I've talked to, that's what made a lot of people not like Rob Zombie's take on Halloween. I enjoyed it just because I'm a diehard Rob Zombie fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased with Zombie as well. I mean, House of a Thousand Corpses is like my favorite zombie movie ever. I get a lot of people telling me, no, it's Devil's Rejects or it's the Halloween franchise. I still have yet to see Three from Hell or 31. There's only two films I haven't seen. My least favorite he has done is
I honestly,
Lords of Salem. I appreciate the story. It just took way too goddamn long to get to the point. That's all.
I have to agree. Great. It's a good movie. The scripting's good. Characters are good. The plot's all right. It's just how long it. Yeah, it's such a slow burn.
So slow. I mean, again, appreciate the trying new things. I love Zombie and everything. It's like, but that was a huge miss in my opinion. It's still worth at least one watch, I would say, but that's about it. But like before we get too far off track, it's super hard to compare, or get Ash to fight the Djinn. But I would like to say, because it's Ash Williams and biasism or no biasism, he's gonna fucking find a way.
Yeah, because I mean, he did it not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but several other. Because how many times did he like get pitted against like the big bad and like come out on top? Yeah.
I mean, also like you can take that from like before we get into the next topic, but like the good must always win. And that again, you see it so often. We all know how this usually ends, but I do like the twist where it is, the bad wins. But what I appreciate the most is like I'd rather see like the characters go through hell and back and earn that instead of the whole like again with most religious horror where it's just like pray it away kind of thing.
Yeah, like Ouija. Oh my god.
Yeah, like I'd love religious horror in certain aspects.
Yeah, the first Conjuring and the first Paranormal Activity, good religious horror. But some of the sequels,
yeah, no, I get that. For me, like one of the things that I love that will also lead us into the next category in a sense is my favorite religious movie for multiple reasons, but like it really pushed the boundaries and really did spit and like not really spit, I shouldn't say it that way, but really showed like how this quote unquote heaven and hell battle is The Exorcist. There's a very good one of showing how that no matter how hard you're fighting this thing, it's still there and resilient. And technically, which leads into where the bad wins because it takes over the priest. You don't see him ever again, kind of thing.
Yeah, because he just like jumps out the window.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert on a 40 some odd year old movie.
It was 70s. That is a
50-year-old movie. You're right. Yeah. So spoiler alert on a 50-year-old movie. But yeah, like the first one freaked me out because it had been around for a long time before I had ever seen it. And I mean, me being born in 1992, I didn't really get to see it in its heyday. I got to see it on VHS for the first time when I was around like 12, I want to say. And what really freaked me out was not the part where she walked down the stairs backwards, but the part where she was like pretending to be asleep and the priest got like really close to her right here. And then right as he got like right up on her, she sat up, spun her head around and just went, brah! Like I was like, fun fact, that's actually pea soup. That has been confirmed by the director before he passed away.
Yeah, that was pea soup. But it's, and see, one of the things that makes me love a lot more like older horror, as cheesy as some of them are. Like again, I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street person, but like you can tell how ridiculous it gets later on.
Oh my god.
Some of the like animatronics and sets and so on and so forth. It is what it is. But like I like the risks that they kind of set up to bring into today, where we can be spoiled by not really having to do too much because you kind of have a base ground to go through it.
And I have a fun fact about Nightmare on Elm Street. And actually, a lot of the older horror pre CGI, the guy that did the makeup for a lot of the horror back then, I cannot remember his name.
It depends on which parts of horror you're asking for, because like one of the ones that I always remember is Tom Savini.
Yes, Savini, Tom Savini. He's Sex Machine in Dead
From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn. And I did not know that was him, and I did not know that he did the makeup on that until I was like 23. Whenever Friday the 13th, the video game came out, that's when I found out who Tom Savini was, because I googled how to get the Tom Savini skin, because I wanted to get the Tom Savini skin for Jason, because I had all the other ones, and the only way you could get the Tom Savini skin in that game is if you were an initial backer when that game was being crowdfunded. That's the only way. And I was so upset. I was heartbroken because that skin is so badass. Like Jason's on fire. He's got a pitchfork. Half his mask is falling off. He's got the chain around his neck. And it was Savini designed and exclusive, because that was the vision that he had when he suggested that for Jason Goes to Hell.
Mm-hmm. No, I remember. I have a friend in my hometown. Her name's Bailey. She is a fantastic makeup artist. And she was so good, in fact, she actually got to take a whole class course with Tom Savini. She has a picture with her entire class and with Tom Savini. I was like, I fucking hate you so much. That is fucking cool.
I would have been like, hey, you show me that picture again, we're going to have a fist fight. It's going to involve pillows.
No, I would never do that to her. But it's just like, when I heard about that, I think I was talking to her cousin. And I was just like, how's Bailey doing? Oh, she's doing, this makeup thing. And so, that's cool. It's like with some guy named like Tom Savini or something like that. I was just like, what the fuck? I lost my shit right there and there. I was like, excuse me. And then she showed me the picture of her whole class with Savini right there in the middle. I was like, oh my God, I'm so fucking jealous.
Yeah, he is one horror icon I wish I could meet to this day. Besides Bruce Campbell, I'm jealous you got to meet Bruce Campbell, by the way. But I saw that picture. I have a list of horror actors I'd like to meet. I'd like to meet the guy that was the original Jason in Friday the 13th, because he's still like 6'4". Like he's a big guy.
Yeah,
and he still goes to cons and stuff like that.
The list for me, I would have to go with more modern, because some of the ones I would love to meet are sadly dead.
Yeah.
But like, especially right now, like one of my favorites is James Wan. James Wan has always held a special part in my heart, especially because of Saw. I mean, I loved his like directorial view a lot, because the first Saw, it was like only shot in like 16 days, or like 16 or 18 days.
Yeah.
They had so little to work with, but did so much. And look,
I think the budget for that was like only like 50,000 or something like that.
No, that was Paranormal, if I'm not mistaken. Most of that was just the camera equipment.
Yeah.
But like they didn't have a big budget.
No, they really didn't.
The way they did everything is just so unique. They were able to like use such minimal things to make this movie feel like it was as big as it was. And I loved it. And they did such a good, him and Lee Winnell did such a good job with that. And then I was going to go into Lee next, because I absolutely fucking hate classics in modern times. Most of the time. Like, most of the time, I absolutely hate that. I loved his telling of Invisible Man in today's world and how they did it.
That one was a good one.
I loved it. It was very subtle, kind of practical in a sense. If you see the movie, you'll get what I'm kind of hinting at in a way, but it's just done very well. It's a very good way to bring that old horror into a modern setting without oversaturating CGI or all this other stuff without really changing its core principle.
What was the movie with Kevin Bacon where he turned himself invisible? Hollow Man. Hollow Man.
Love Hollow Man. That's a very good retelling of it too.
Yep. I think that there's certain movies that you can tell and retell in the horror genre alone that if done the right way, you can tell it a different way a million times and it'll never get stale. But then you have guys that are trying to like retell
follow the trend.
They're trying to
follow the trend.
Like I'm sorry, like M. Night Shyamalan's heyday ended with Signs. That was the last. Well, hold on. I might open my mouth and insert my foot because I have not seen his newest one, Knock at the Cabin, yet.
I haven't seen that either. So for me, if we're gonna go like on that specific director and stuff like that, I heard IRL piece of shit person. I don't know. It's just what I've heard. As a director, I don't think he's the genius that everyone
thinks he is.
Says he is. Kind of thing, but I do think he has a very good eye with a lot of things, and I do love his originality in certain things. I really like Bold. I thought that was very, very well done. That throws me. I
didn't mind that one. Yeah,
Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, Signs, like his older movies. It really throws me back to those, and I love that. And even with some of his more other ones that a lot of people don't like, was A Lady in the Water, The Village.
That one was okay.
I mean, Village was. I like The Village for what it was, because if you weren't really paying attention to everything, that whole twist ending is literally like, yeah, this is stupid. Yeah. But when you understand that subtlety of everything they're trying to get at, I think, and I'm not trying to be that whole like five head, I knew it from the beginning kind of thing. I didn't. Yeah. But like when you watch, you're like, that's so stupid. Then you watch it again, you see those signs of like, oh, this is all making sense now if I've been paying attention, or at least kind of try to put two and two together. You can kind of see it doing that way.
That's honestly what made me not like The Village, was because I didn't finish it the first time that I watched it, because I watched it in theaters with my mom and somebody else, I can't remember, and we ended up having to leave before the end happened. So it was when they were cornered by the monsters and all that stuff, and then when the twist ending happened was when I watched it again at home on big surprise from Blockbuster. We rented it back when that was still a thing, and when I watched it again, I'm showing my age, but yeah, we watched it. We rented it from Blockbuster, and then I watched it again at home. And when I saw the ending, I was kind of picking up on everything. So like everything that scared me in the movie theater wasn't scary when I watched it at home, because I was kind of noticing. I was like,
you also got to remember, when you go to the theater, you're outside of your comfort zone. So you're expecting to be scared. You just don't know when it's coming. When you're at home, you're a little bit more relaxed. And when those scares do happen, in any sense, you're like way more caught off guard, but you already know what you're kind of getting at the same way. Yeah. Regardless of all of that, it's like, I mean, I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. When you watch it a second time, you pick up a lot more. But another one that popped in my head just now with the whole evil triumphing over good and stuff like that is, again, surprise, surprise, the Sam Raimi movie, Drag Me to Hell. Like, I liked how they did that. The way it was like, oh, she's gonna get away, this, that, and the other thing else, and it's just like, oh no, she still has, I think it was like a coin. Fucking literally, the train track open. It was a button. That's what it was. Yeah, and the whole train track's open. And she literally gets dragged to hell and kind of puts back nice and neat. It's like, that's a good way to end a movie, and that's how you should do it. Like, I hate the whole good always wins, because we all live in the real world here. How often does that fucking happen?
Honestly, a lot of people don't like the Drag Me to Hell for the simple fact that it was like the CGI was bad, but like I liked it for being an original concept.
Not only that, but it's like biasism, man. Sam Raimi can't do wrong. Like, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Multiverse of Madness, but I love that movie so much because Sam Raimi.
Yeah, that's what made me like it. I was like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting, but you know what, Sam Raimi, good job, good friggin' job.
it's just, yeah, you can't help but love it because of Sam Raimi for one.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a fine movie for whatever it is. I'm very
Yeah.
heavily biased on the Marvel movies, so that'll be a whole nother conversation.
Like my okay, so let's see. A good what if evil had won in horror for me, honestly, is something I've always asked is what if the oh god, what is the name of it? Pazuzu. What if Pazuzu hadn't gone into the priest and stayed in the little girl? Like would we have had a number 2? Would we have had an like what like
It's
would it have taken like a Damien approach, like an Omen?
well, because that's the literal devil birth or like Antichrist born,
Yeah. That's another good religious
through
horror
him.
movie.
Yeah. But
The original, not the remake though. God.
no, the original super dated though.
Yeah. Remake's not bad for what it is, but at the same time, like they CGI'd way too much. Not enough practical effects.
I could agree with that in some senses, but I still enjoy it. But
Yeah.
like one of two things are going to happen. It's either going to do if you're doing the what if they'd stayed in the little girl. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
I can't either. I think it was like
I don't even remember.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay. One of two things are going to happen. They're either A, killing the girl to kill the demon, or
Right.
they're just successful in banishing it back to hell. That's like the literal only two things that would happen. If you look at it in a quote unquote realistic way, or as realistic as you can be, would be that way, at least in my opinion, because how else would it be? I mean, she try and go, or the Pazuzu tries to go into the actual father, doesn't seem as likely as opposed to the priest itself. Or it goes into the mother and they rinse and repeat the whole cycle. Regan, thank you. Yeah.
Welcome. 1973. Jesus.
Yeah, I told you, that movie's a fucking 50-year-old movie.
I thought it came out in the 80s. What was I thinking?
Probably the third one was like late 80s, early 90s, I think, or mid 90s, because that's considered the second best one from that franchise, I think.
I didn't like the second one all that as much as I did the first one, in all honesty. Just for the simple fact that it was like it wasn't enough of the horror element that made the first one scary. It was trying to modernize with like the whole jump scare factor of like that the 80s was doing with everything.
I'll be real with you. I haven't seen the Exorcist franchise in at least like 7, 8 years.
I watched it not too long ago, honestly. It was it brought back a lot of like nostalgia. So I went down like a whole rabbit hole of like old movies that I used to love to watch. But I started off in the horror genre because that's when I watched The Blob. I watched The Thing from Outer Space. I watched the Creature from the Black Lagoon and Frankenstein's Bride. That is as cheesy as that one was. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Classic though. That's a classic.
Yep.
If we're going like old school movies, like obviously the old creature features, monster horror movies, Dracula, Frankenstein, and all that. Yep. Like some of those have been brought to like modern times very, very well. Some have, obviously a lot haven't. But one of the things that like I really, really dislike, or like I hate about the whole like good triumphing over is like literally it's just the whole towards the very end. It's like show your inner love kind of reveal.
Oh my god, yes.
It's not like your typical or actual like, hey, we again like fought to earn this kind of thing. It's just literally like love conquers all, which again I understand the whole concept. I'm tired of it. Prime example, again, The Conjuring, but then again that's also based off a true story, so that's different. But the whole like just see the light, quote unquote, you're done, you're good, ooh, all's done and over with.
And believe it or not, I've actually heard the real story of The Conjuring, and apparently it was there's a lot of stuff that was left out because the little girls that were or the children from the movie that the actual events are based off of are still alive. They're like 50 something, 60 something now, because this happened in like the 70s. Yeah. And they said that that the story left out a lot of stuff. There was a point to where the father of the girls punched the husband. I can never remember his name, of the wife and the husband that came to help investigate. What was their names? They're famous for Annabelle.
No, I
The
know. Oh my god, I'm drawing a huge blank right now. I can see the actresses and the actor's face so clear right now.
yeah, the
Warren,
that
the
Warren.
Warrens.
Yep, yep. The
Oh my
father
god.
actually punched the husband, the husband of the Warrens, because the mother at one point was standing in front of him as he was like saying a prayer or something along those lines. I might be messing up that part of the story, but she got thrown across the room and hit a wall, and he thought that the husband did it. So the dad socked the male Warren in the face
Ed and
because he,
Lorraine. I remember their names now. Ed and
yep,
Lorraine
Ed.
Warren.
He socked Ed. He socked Ed Warren in the face because he thought that he threw his wife, but
Hmm.
it wasn't him. It was whatever was in the house. And fun
Well, you
fact,
also got
you can actually spend the night in the Conjuring house.
yes, in that house. I have heard of that. No, what I was gonna say is that oh, lost train of thought right there. You were gonna say a fun fact. Now I was about to say a fun fact too. I forgot now. Anywho,
Yeah.
that
Sorry, that was
entered
my fault.
head and left. No, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, the Conjuring would be is I honestly I don't like that trope where it's like, oh, all we had to do to banish the evil was show our love.
Yeah, it's a common trope. It's a consistent trope. But again, that's mostly again with like religious horror and stuff. When it comes to like
Yeah.
creature features, I'm tired of stupid characters. I am so tired of stupid characters because they do have some great initial main character energy throughout some of them, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
I want an actual intellectual, if I can actually say the word, movie where you have all these people that know what they're doing in a survival situation or horror movie situation kind of thing,
Right.
and do everything to a T perfectly and it still go wrong. That's what I like. And
Yep.
one thing that I like and like how things snowball really fast in horror movies and like how because you know how like some people like this would never happen in 2 hours, 5 hours. The whole like, oh, during a zombie apocalypse we'd be able to stop it super fast because people aren't that dumb. Lo and behold, you know, world is already turned over zombies because people are dumb.
Yep.
It's like the and Evil Dead, the remake, when they first find the Necronomicon and fucking hippie Jesus is like, literally the reading in Latin, do not open this, do not speak, and so on and so forth, and proceeds to fucking do it. It's like, come on, that's a
I
snowball
felt so
effect.
bad for hippie Jesus.
Fucking,
He got so
up.
he's so bad, so bad.
It was
I felt
so good.
bad
I
for that
cannot
guy.
wait for the new one. So I'm so excited.
I watched the trailer of it a couple weeks ago, and it piqued my interest because I was going to do a reaction to it, and I totally spaced on it. I'm not even gonna lie, I totally spaced on it. But the part that really got me in the first trailer that I saw was she shoots up, or the little girl says mommy, and then she goes, mommy's not here right now, and then shoots up out of the tub, and I'm like, oh, they're starting strong. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's just there's a lot of good and love behind that, and I cannot wait because they did
Yes.
such good care of the first one. Oh my god, that was so good, done very well. Even with like a lot of it is practical effects. There
Yeah.
is some CG, and you can tell where it is, but like it's just how practical that movie is and how it's just shot and done so well is so fucking good. Oh my god, I love it.
I'm not gonna lie, when it came to me watching the first one, that was the first scary movie that actually scared me in a really long time. Because the I watched all of the Paranormal Activity movies up to that point, and the jump scares get you. You're like, oh crap.
See
But
the thing with paranormal is you know how you have those tropes where music amplifies insinuating something's going to happen or the music's
Mhm.
dead and it's like
Yep.
okay, you know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Paranormal has that too because you have the little vibration sound effect to let you know when the ghost activity is happening kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
hated that because it's like I like it when it's like what if there's just no sound and it just fucking happens, makes it so much
Yeah.
more impactful. That's what I like more. And don't get me wrong, I understand like you need an audio cue and so on and so forth for the audience mostly.
Yeah.
But God, I hate it. I just want like ambient sound, nothing, and then fucking just hard hit home or no
Yep.
sound whatsoever, as it's just still ambient noise. You know, like you're just hearing
Yeah.
no music and stuff like that, just raw sound because it sounds so much better. It's
I
more
agree.
terrifying.
It's because like what's really funny is they conducted a study. I like fun fact about horror genre is they conducted a study. I think this was back in the early 2000s, and they wanted to see what scared people more? Was it the sound or the visual aspect? Because we are the way we evolved as people, however you want to look at that, whatever the case is, with our eyes facing front, our brains work off of a threat being in front of us a lot quicker than us hearing a scary sound. So what they did is they took a large group of people, I think it was like 100 and some people, and they put them in a room where they would play suspenseful music and then scare them, or they did it with that video of the car driving,
Oh
and then
my
the thing
God.
and the thing for the visual cue, and they took the entire thing out and they just had the car driving. The first one was like a bunny or something like that, and then a monster popped up on the screen and scared them. And then they played the car driving, and then the thing pops up on the, you can still find it on YouTube, and the thing pops up on, it was some kind of like auto insurance or something like that. The thing pops up on the screen and scares them. They got more of a reaction out of that than they did the initial video, because they didn't have like the suspenseful music or anything like that. There was no audio cues.
And that's one of the things for me. Like with I'm an audiophile when it comes to horror movies, because I love hearing like either the visceral squelches and rips and tears, or like just the ambient sound that horror is really known for, because it sets up so much more.
I have to agree.
Point an example. The movie I didn't care for, but I think it's In the Earth, I think is what it was called. It's a very like nature horror movie.
I've heard of that one.
It's different. I like it for what it is. Is it fantastic by any means? No. But I liked it for what it was. But like it's a lot of audio cues, and like just hearing some of the stuff, you do feel uneasy, and it's like, ooh, I like this, but there's really no big payoff for it. But it's just used cues really, really well.
Yeah, I like that. Like that's one trope in horror movies that I never get tired of. Is a combination of the ambient sound and the visuals. Because there was a movie that I watched. Oh, geez, I haven't watched it in so long. As Above, So Below.
Fucking love that movie. Oh my God.
I
Audio
like
cues
it.
in that movie sent me through the fucking roof.
I liked it not only for the storytelling aspect of it, but you don't know, and this carries into the subject that we're talking about. You don't know if the good one or the bad one in that one, because of the in that movie, because of the simple fact that when, at spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it for like, I think it's like a 10-year-old movie now.
I think it's like 6 or 7-year-old movie. It's not that old.
Yeah, no, I think it came out sometime in the 2010s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and they is that when she exits, she doesn't know if she's in her world or in a different world. So you don't know if the good won or the bad one in that outcome, because of the simple fact is that it's like it gives you that inception, like is she awake or is she still in hell? Because
in a sense, yeah, no, I get what you're getting with that. That actually had one of my favorite audio cues when they first get into the water and the whole audio just like deafens.
Oh
like,
my God, that was
first
so
time that
bad.
happened, me and my wife looked at each other like, are we hearing this right?
Yeah.
But as you're speaking with the whole like, what if like in that situation, or is she in her world or still in hell kind of thing, brings me to the whole the descent. Did she actually get out? Was that a hallucination, or is she hallucinating? She's still back in the cave, and it's, because I know in the sequel they kind of bring it back that she escaped kind of sense. I don't remember. I never saw the sequel one. I didn't either. Heard of it. But it's that whole situation too. Are they out? Are they not? One movie I would absolutely love a modernization of, but it won't ever be as visceral as it needs to be, so I'm not going to be happy with it, would be like Event Horizon, because I think that's a very, very good one as well.
I'd have to agree. There was one movie that they planned to do a sequel of, and I cannot remember the name of it. It came out around the same time that The Descent did, but it took a different approach, where if you got bit by the thing that was in the cave, you turned into the thing. And it was like some kind of like apex predator. And I think it had Jessica Alba in it, or Jessica Biel. One of the famous Jessicas.
One of the Jessicas.
One of the Jessicas.
I get those two mixed up all the time.
I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. I remember hearing about it. I never saw it, so I don't know about that, but I have heard of it.
I'm gonna Google it. But yeah, basically, that one was kind of the bad one in that one because of the simple fact that everybody that was supposed to make it out, the main characters, made it out, but one of the main characters had actually gotten bitten prior to getting out, and she was starting to turn into the thing. So like now it being a apex predator in the cave by itself that ate humans and hunted humans was now in the outside world where it had an unlimited food source and an unlimited I guess you could say breeding grounds.
I would say breeding grounds, game grounds. It's open territory.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of those things where you're just kind of like, I kind of wanted a sequel for that one.
You
And
know, sorry, no, that's something that just popped in my head. I apologize. Is that
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
you're saying how the creatures out in the open and stuff like that into
Mhm.
the real world. One of the things that just popped in my head about it is like tropes. I'm so tired of like all these horror movies, and it's like they're running down the street, that like screaming killer or whatever, and no
Mhm.
lights go on and stuff. It's like, do you know how many people that would just still be popping out to be nosy as fuck? And or you see some dude just like, it gives me a reason to get my gun out. There's a monster. Let's go. Who's not doing that?
It's not the Descent. Yeah, there's a lot of horror movies that I would love to honestly see just done away with. And it's like the overplayed, like like as much as I love scream queens, like the fight, like the last girl. I'm
Final
so
girl
tired.
movies. Yeah,
I don't like the final girl movies. Like is
I'm
like
situational on them personally.
yeah,
Like
like
for
Scream,
like
like
prime
Scream One,
example,
love it.
Scream One set a lot of tropes. Don't get me wrong, but I do
Yes.
agree that's a very good one with their. But I was gonna say like fuck, I
Sanctum?
just lost it again.
No, that wasn't it.
Sanctum. I was gonna say Sanctum doesn't sound like that would be it.
The cave, Jesus, the
The
cave. That was
cave. That pretty obvious the answer, huh? That we both missed. They're in this cave.
yeah. It was. I was like, they were in a cave. They had cave things that were creature. Like, what was
But
it
like
called?
my favorite final girl kind of movie that like plays into the tropes but does at the same time is Ready or Not. Like
Ooh,
mainly because like fucking, oh, what am I drawing a blank on her name? Samara Weaving. How her screams are so good, and that's why I think it makes a really good
hers are
final girl
very guttural.
moment. Yes, and it's so good.
Yes.
Like Nev Campbell in Scream,
Yeah.
like there's very, very specific instances where it makes sense. It is a very, like, especially in series like trope with like, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. A lot of them are very trope esque and kind of set those
Yep.
tropes. But when it's done in a different light, again, like for me personally, saying like, are you ready or not? Is that it's not really like her actively fighting to be the final girl. She's like only the final girl because like she's forced in this fucked up situation.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other ones, it's like there is a possibility of multiple final people in a sense.
Yeah. There's there's a lot of worn out tropes that I would like to see done away with. Honestly, it's like the
Oh, for
like the
sure, but unfortunately, you won't get it right now.
yeah. Like that, like what was it when we had like that whole string of movies that followed the paranormal activity trope to where it was just
Oh yeah,
nothing but jump scares throughout the entire movie, and you're just like sitting there and you're like, oh, can I just like get like something that actually makes me terrified? And then
that's yeah. That I get that because like that's where my creature features come in because I love seeing again, even if it's a man in a suit, that's so much more better than just a
yeah,
CGI thing. It's something to
agree.
react to. That's one of the things I love. I mean, also a thing I love too is like it's more action movie than horror, but it still classifies under the horror is the Predator franchise. But the first one specifically, where
Yes.
if you watch thoroughly, there's certain scenes where they'll just pan the camera up into the jungle, and there's a small section on everywhere where you can see where they put the infrared suit so they can do the little camouflage
Yeah.
screen on it, and it's in almost every single scene of those.
Yeah.
And it's like
Eh,
those kind of things where if you don't know that, but then you start noticing it more watch throughs or like a behind the scene thing, and it's like wow, and then you start looking for it. Like that kind of shit makes it so much better too, where they're
my
right in your face, but they're not.
my favorite trope in all of horror is honestly the don't show the monster until they absolutely have to. because
because your imagination runs way more wild.
yeah,
Your vision in your head is way more terrifying than what you're getting. But even still, it could be a different terrifying, like when you watch it on screen. Like, oh, I was expecting something worse, but this is actually, in fact, worse than I thought of, or something like that.
yeah,
But I do agree. Although that also is the expectation goal, because in like in your head, you're like, I'm waiting for this really big badass creature, and then you get whatever, and it's like, oh, that's kind of whatever.
yeah. One movie that I actually think they did okay with that aspect on, but I dislike the movie itself is the Babadook. I don't like the
I
Babadook movie.
I enjoy it for what it was. If we're going with that kind of trope, because I think it's
That's
the same
also
director who did
another
that.
the bad. That's another one that we don't know if the bad won or they lost.
Technically,
you
yeah,
could
because
say.
it's like kept as a pet in a sense at the very end.
Yeah.
Or they're like kind of mutual buddies at that point, I guess. But
Yeah.
like, because I think it was the same director that did the Babadook and Midsummer, but Midsummer is like a folk earth nature horror kind of thing, like a cult horror done
Yeah.
very, very well. I absolutely love Midsummer. Now
I didn't
hated
mind it. It was a good
Hereditary.
movie.
I hated
Oh my God.
Hereditary.
Yeah. I'm not a
I
fan
think
of
that
Hereditary.
is either I'm thinking Hereditary and Midsummer are the same director. I think I can't remember now, but
They were. I think
so it's like,
Babadook. I think that's the same director for the Babadook, Midsummer, and Hereditary. I could be wrong.
you might be right. I don't remember that director off the top of my head. I'm not really familiar with their work all the time.
Yeah.
I recently just got into more like focusing on like more modern stuff, like getting in with like more with James Wan, like with Megan and
I
stuff.
like James Wan. Yeah.
I absolutely love Wan.
I like the thing that made me not like Hereditary is that they tried to put too much story and too much plot into too little of the movie.
I feel that's kind of like my same argument with Lords of Salem in a sense. But like what I did like with Hereditary again is like how you see the son suffering for his quote unquote sin and everything like that, and like how he's getting fucked up. I love when he starts freaking out in class. That was like my favorite scene from that movie. But
my favorite scene actually made me laugh. It's where the mom chases him up into the attic and she starts pounding her head onto the attic door while she's like I died laughing at that part because like I thought she was like floating and like beating on it with her hand, but when it came to her like on all fours and just like thrashing her forehead onto it, I was like
that's fair. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of tropes if we're gonna go with like tropes and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot that I would like to see gone.
Jennifer Kent directed the Babadook. Who directed Midsummer?
Yeah, I was gonna say because I thought those were separate. That's why I corrected myself when I said Hereditary, because I think it was Hereditary and Midsummer that are same director.
She also directed Babe Pig in the City and How the Duck Stole Christmas.
Oh my God, did not know about those. Nice. But the whole like, what if good had won? What's another good one? I would love to see a continuation, but not really, because I like how it was. Is Robert Rodriguez's Dawn of the Dead? How I know it's the whole zombie infestation, which is usually a trope I absolutely despise, but I love how they did that because it felt overwhelming and they had multiple ways to try and deal with them, but it's still super hard and blah blah blah. But
Ari Aster directed Midsummer and Hereditary.
Yeah, that's what it was. I knew there was something.
So I was wrong.
Like, I loved the director for this one, but hated them for this one, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I remember that now.
Some horror directors I've noticed is that when they try to do other movies outside of like something that was really good, and they try to take an original take on like a secondary movie, sometimes that second one is either a hit or a miss.
I get that, but again, it really depends because Mike Flanagan, my wife praises, my brother praises Mike Flanagan. The only work I have seen from him that I've absolutely loved has been Oculus. I've heard I didn't mind that movie. It was pretty good. I heard I need to watch Bly Manor and Haunting of Hill House. I have yet to see those.
I actually like Haunting of Hill House.
I would say I've heard that's some of his best work, and a lot of people really enjoy it. But it's like, just because a director, for me, this is just me speaking. Just because a director does something I like does not mean I'm gonna like all their work. Point an example: Lucas, Spielberg, fantastic directors. They made a lot of movies I don't like.
Yeah,
They've also made a lot of movies I do like. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah. Like
not everything
Spielberg
is a fucking
did
hit.
great on E.T. and Jaws.
I fucking hate ET though. That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. I hate ET. Like that is one of those movies. Like again, I don't care how well it's praised or how everyone loves it. I fucking despise that movie. Do you like it though? That's great. Whatever. It's just not my movie.
But oh wait, no, that wasn't Spielberg that directed E.T. and Jaws. Spielberg directed Jaws, but Lucas directed E.T. I'm so sorry, I mixed those up.
Was that how it was?
Yeah, because the ET aliens are actually in
Yeah,
Star Wars.
they're in Star Wars, yeah, but I don't think he directed it. It should still have been Spielberg for the sole fact of because that's one of his biggest pieces. That's also why
You're right. I'm sorry. I was wrong.
Ambien is one of his biggest producing companies because he works with
Yep.
them a lot.
Yeah, like there's a
It's
lot
just,
of
I think it was that Lucas wanted to like have part of Spielberg with him in the Star Wars universe, and that's kind of why they're included in there. I think
that makes sense.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that.
I would honestly like to see Spielberg take a spin on like if not a creature feature, some kind of horror-esque movie. I think he would do really good.
He's done several, depending on how you look at them. I mean, because again, Jaws falls right into the core category of horror.
Yeah, because that was the movie that demonized sharks. That's the movie that made me scared of open water.
That's what made a lot of people scared of open water.
Yeah, it really did.
To be fair, I remember hearing stories like when that movie was released, that like literally beaches were dead for a long time.
Yeah. And then like they had like it also launched a lot of good for the shark community too, because that's when it
it did, but it also
put, like,
demonized them a lot more too. Remember that?
Yeah, because I don't care how many people say, oh, you know, the likelihood of a great white attacking you while you're in waist deep water isn't that bad?
0%, then I'm scared.
Yeah, like, but yeah, I get the whole some director. I'm a big I'm a big proprietor of a lot of scary movies, but just because I like one director doing one specific movie doesn't mean I'm gonna like all other movies. So I have to agree with that.
Yeah. That because they're, don't get me wrong, they can be great at all their works in some people's eyes, but like you have to agree to disagree or just say this was a huge hit and a miss and say for what it is. If you truly love something, you're willing to shit on the things you love. To be like, I understand it has its faults. You know that it's got some problems.
Because like I loved M. Night Shyamalan's early work. You had friggin' the Sixth Sense, Signs, Unbreakable.
Signs, yeah, the fucking
those are great. All of his work after that, I haven't liked any of them. I didn't like Village. I didn't like Old. I liked the concept of it, but it was just kind of like what exactly was the twist? What was the supposed?
Yeah, no, I get that. I 100% get that. That one was one of those ones that I personally enjoyed how it was and the ride it was. I mean, again, no, it's no by any means like, oh my god, this is the fantastic movie. It is trying something new. I did enjoy how it was and the way he went about it. But again, I just hate the whole the people's stupidity or like the greed and so on and so forth. I understand it's for a good cause kind of thing, but like I'm just so tired of like just stupid particular reasons. Like, oh yeah, like again with Lights Out, I brought this up last time. How it's like this is your mother's friend who died back, when they were kids, kind of thing. Now she's like haunting and making sure whatever, blah 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 bullshit.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched that one because it was just so dumb. I did not like that movie.
I didn't like it. Same with fucking It Follows.
Oh my god, like it would have been scary. It would have been scary. Yeah, that's essentially what it was. It would have been scary if it had something to make it scary. Like if it had like you have so long before it picks up speed, or it like they're
not
like
this, I'm walking at a consistent pace for one, and two, it's literally just the whole. How do you get rid of this? There's no quote unquote real way to get rid of it. You just have sex with the next person and pass it on, and so on and so forth. And like, I thought that's fucking stupid, but that's just me. I heard some of my friends be like, "Yeah, that movie was terrifying." I was like, "What part?"
Like there was only really like one part I could say was somewhat scary, and that was the part where like the really tall guy like just appeared out of the darkness behind the girl in the hallway, and I was just like, oh, okay, that got me a little bit.
Nothing
But like,
scared me, but there are scenes in that movie that I will appreciate. Like the whole pool scene was really, really cool. I did
yeah,
like how that was shot. I thought that
I have
was
to agree.
very, very well done. When they're on the beach and they swing the chair and then you just see the sand fly and stuff like that. Thought that was really
Yeah,
clean. But overall, it is just terrible. But no, there's certain things that the movie did bring. I think what makes it scary is the whole concept of like, hey, here's you get unlimited money for life, but there will be a snail chasing you and it's immortal, it can never die, and at some point it'll get you. It's that thought process of like, oh shit, where is it? I think
yeah,
is what's more scary than anything, but it just didn't come off that way, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
And I found a loophole for the whole snail thing. Is you take it, you contain it in in some kind of like something that is sealed. Once it's sealed, it can never be opened, and drop it in the Mariana Trench.
Fair, but you gotta remember this thing's considered immortal and we'll find a
Yeah,
way to get to you. There's a will or a way kind of thing. I know what you're getting at, but
yeah,
that's the thought process is that it's always able to move towards you.
yeah. Even though it's at the bottom, even though it's at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, by the time that it actually gets out, you'll be dead. It's like there goes the horror factor. I just got to figure out what to catch it with, and just bloop.
Yeah, fair. But that I think that's the way they were trying to go about it is that whole,
Yeah,
oh, where is it? Where is it? It's just it's not shot that way or felt that way. It just feels super rushed that like this ghost out of nowhere closed 40 miles when like
yeah,
other times it came and closed 10 feet in front of it.
yeah. And like they're like the thing that I think would have made that film kind of like and this that film, as much as you and I both dislike it, that is honestly a good example of what if the bad had won, because there's no
Real
definitive
way
way.
for it to be dead. That's what I was using it as too, is because it's consistently going.
Yep. And
So
there's no way to be like, haha, our power of friendship did away with it, or we found out its one weakness, they shot it, they electrocuted it, they friggin' tried to
whatever.
drown it. It was like, it's just like got up out of the pool and it's like, it's right there. Pow! Did I get it? Pow pow! It's like, that was one to where it was kind of like, because they hinted at it having killed the person that they had passed it on to, because at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the movie, as they're walking down the sidewalk, there's no one behind them, and then it shows their faces, and they're like, I think we're gonna be okay. And then it shows them walking towards the camera, and there's someone walking behind them now, and it was just like, are you though?
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those very small ones that I'll agree with, that you can use that really, really well with it, that category, because otherwise it's like really fits into nothing else.
Yeah,
At least to me.
because like I think like like you can only do what if the bad had won in horror movies, as far as like supernatural goes and creature features go, because
Yeah,
if you
because the
go into
creature's
the
still
ass,
alive. Well, I mean,
yep,
that's like what is it, species? And that's how they spawned like three of those. Is
yeah,
that like there was still a seedling child, whatever you call it, alive that just kind of grew up and did its own thing. Um,
that was such a weird movie, but I enjoyed the Species franchise.
it's definitely a franchise.
Like I enjoyed it as like a guilty pleasure kind of thing. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is a masterpiece. It was like,
Oh yeah, no, I love guilty pleasures. Trust me. I mean, like I
yeah.
said, fucking '50s movies are some of my guilty pleasures. Having like movies like Tarantula, Them, so on and so forth. War of the Worlds.
I love Tarantula for the simple fact that I somehow this was back in way one of my favorite things to do is honestly watch horror movie bloopers, and I
Oh
somehow
yeah, no,
managed to
horror
watch
movie
the bloopers
bloopers
of
are like some of the
Tarantula.
best. No, those are some of the best things ever. I think I just love bloopers in general. Like I
Yeah,
told my wife and a bunch of my friends, like I honestly would like to be famous just to do bloopers.
yeah,
I love seeing like serious movies, horror movies, or all this other stuff, and just having like the like you break and just like say stupid shit, like bumble over words or whatever. It's just
yeah.
I love bloopers. They're so fucking fantastic.
But my one of my all time favorite bloopers, honestly, is from Rob Zombie's Halloween, because there was supposed to be something that happened, and Michael is just like standing there waiting for like the door to open, but the actor on the other side of the door missed their cue, so he like he stands there, knocks on the window, and like peers in, like you or I would, to be like, "Hey, are you home?" And he just like stands up and he's like, and I'm like,
Was that my
"Yes."
cue?
And the blooper I saw for Tarantula was the scene where where they had it coming up over the hill after it became big, and it came up over the hill, and then something spooked it, and instead of it descending down onto the town, it like scurried off in a different direction. You heard like someone yell off camera. I think it was a woman, but it could have been a guy, because I mean, let's face facts. I have a roach fly at my face, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And it was like one of those kinds of screams where you're just like, "Who screamed like that?" It was pretty funny, because like the handler was like underneath it with like its container or something like that, and he was like, go on," and it like crawled up, sat on top of the mountain ridge, and was supposed to descend down onto the little town that they had. And then something spooked it, so it went from standing here to just, and then someone off camera just screams.
Yeah, you just hear them freak out. Yeah.
And I love bloopers from horror movies, because they are some of the best, because they're supposed to be serious. This scene is supposed to be scary, but somebody trips and you're just like,
yeah, you can't help but fucking laugh or whatever.
because the actor that played the Michael Myers, I don't know his name. I wish I did.
The
Who
shape.
played who played Michael in Rob Zombie's retelling of Halloween. There was a scene where he burst through a door, but he came in too early and missed his cue, and he scared the actors there. And instead of them trying to run away, they were like, "Wow, wow, that was uncalled for." And he's just like sitting there, and he gets closer, and he just starts laughing, like you can see his shoulders moving, and it's just like, and then like some of the blood props go wrong, and the actor that's getting stabbed is just like laughing while it's happening, because it was supposed to come out in like a spurt out of like his neck, but instead it sprays up onto his face, and he's just like,
Yeah. No, I know. I love those kind. It's also like one of my favorite things too is like what's happened with some movies where they don't tell the actors, like they tell them, hey, this is what's going to happen, but it's like not full detail, and stupid shit or like the more authentic feel is like
Yep.
with Alien, the chest burster, like they knew blood was going to be sprayed at them, but not that copious amount, so that's all their real reactions of just like, oh fuck.
Like, oh my god, a good example of this, which is actually outside of horror, but I think should be included in horror, was from Jurassic Park, because I've never seen any of the Jurassic movies, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just never been like, dinosaurs never been something for me that I've been like, oh neat. It's just like,
Fair.
like it was just never something that piqued my interest. And not saying that they're bad movies, like, and I'll never say that, but
You definitely say that with this new trilogy at times, but go on.
but the scene where the T-Rex bit into the Jeep where the kids were, it wasn't supposed to come through the metal.
Yes, yeah,
And
that whole safety glass wasn't supposed to prop down like that, and so when it did,
Yeah.
that's literally their general reaction of fear.
yeah, because they were like, ah, and the director's like, keep rolling. Like, I'm sorry, that's a dickhead move. If two kids are genuinely scared.
But Spielberg knows how to shoot the film. I mean, it turned out very, very well.
Yeah, and the actor, another fun fact I found out, the actor Bill Skarsgård that played it in the new franchise of It, he can actually make his eyes go in different directions. And
a lot of people thought that was CG for the longest time in the trailer, until they did an interview with him. He's like, no, that's all me.
Yeah, he's like, I can do it. And what's funny is that he actually did it to one of the actors, because they didn't know that. Yeah, it actually scared him. That's one of my favorite pictures on the internet, because you see him stand there talking, and he's just like, because he actually does the face, because he's like, it's so great. It's worth a search. It'll make your day. I think I've first seen it on Tumblr.
Oh my god, I haven't been on that site in fucking years.
Might have been Reddit. But yeah, like that's what honestly made me like the newer It, because I love the original It with Tim Curry. Love Tim Curry. He like
I'm
there's
always biased towards Curry. I will always be biased. Like my favorite film he's ever
yep.
done is still Legend. I'm biased actually. It's either Clue, Legend, or Ferngully. I'm
I
biased. That
I have
those are my three.
all three of those are the same for
Oh
me.
wow.
Like
I would say and Rocky Horror. Can't go wrong with that.
oh yeah. Like anything that Tim Curry was in, I watched as a kid just because I loved his voice. I love how he spoke. I loved his
Oh yeah.
mannerisms, but I honestly wish that he would have kind of did the more Vincent Price approach and did some more scary movies along those lines.
I feel
Because
that. I feel that. But like the funny thing is I love Vincent Price. Vincent Price is one of my favorite actors,
yes,
one of my favorite voices. My favorite thing with Vincent Price ever is still Tim Burton's little short film he did, Vincent. This is his first stop
yes,
at emotion and it's voiced by Vincent Price. Just fucking fell in love with that. But
mm,
that's one of the things I do love about Curry over Vincent is that he is one of those actors that's done a little bit of everything. Because I
hmm
love when you see predominant like comedy people or like comics or like serious actors do opposites and do
yeah,
comedy, do horror, do a drama or something like that. Like a prime example for me that I always use is like you always hear of John Goodman as being this, happy-go-lucky guy. I mean, he
hmm
does like the occasional like bad role, like in Oh Brother Where Art Thou or
the Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski. Thank you.
He
Uh,
wasn't he was out of his element in that one, but I think he did really well.
Yeah, but you normally know him as the funny guy. My
Yeah,
favorite film with him in it that where he's completely polar opposite is like 13 Cloverfield Lane. He does a fantastic job in that.
yeah, I'd have to agree on that because like he was not John Goodman. He was he
Yeah,
was he was John Goodman, but he wasn't John Goodman. He wasn't the
the
hey.
yeah, it's like another one for me that I always use as an example is Robin Williams. You always know him as the comic, the nice guy, and so on and so forth. But I love him in 24-hour photo.
There
Like
was
it's just
another movie that he did that it was where he passed away and then he had to go from heaven and descend into hell to get his wife. And
not ringing a bell to me.
I can't remember the name of the movie. I'm gonna have to Google that one.
That
But
that feels very Dante's Inferno, Divine Comedy.
let me see what movie. And another good one, honestly, is 23 with Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey. Yeah, no, I'll
That
agree with that one.
that was his first like serious role, and I was like, wow,
Well, it's
because it
like
had
speaking of characters out of element like that, like with Jim Carrey in 23, it's like Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love. It's one of his
oh
more
yeah,
serious roles, and it's like, wow, this
it was still a
Adam
funny
Sandler.
movie.
It can be, yeah, but it's like I love him in that movie. But it's like small things like that I really do appreciate. And then with the whole like good overcoming evil on some other aspects that I would like to see a lot more is I would love to see a lot more creature features, like have the creature stay alive and win and continue in
Yeah.
some senses, but like leave it as a one end or a one stop.
What
Maybe a
Dreams May
sequel.
Come. What Dreams May Come was the name of that movie. It
Ah, that's the name of that movie. Got it. Got it.
was a good movie. Very like it made me cry. I watched it because it came out in 1998. God.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like I like let's see for me, I would love to because they do it so much with the killer features, and that's something that I kind of would like to see done more with the supernatural aspect because of the simple fact that like
I get that.
we've seen Michael come back and we've seen Freddy come back, we've seen Jason come back, we've seen the creeper come back, and it's just like what about when somebody finds their like what if like somebody you don't expect like my favorite kind of twist in a horror movie is the person that you don't expect lagged a little bit the
Yeah.
person you don't expect to win to be the one that actually kills the monster and like as far as that goes
I will agree with that in the sense that as long as it's like to me makes sense, not just to
yeah
like give for instance, like let's say skinny nerdy kid that they used to use all the time in horror movies, like
yeah
him
like it
doing it. Yeah, it's like that's justified because they wouldn't expect it kind of thing. I like it where more it's like what happened with Ripley and Alien, where it's
yep
like no one's expecting the women to live.
yeah
So what if we make her live
and
and
on it
see how it
and
goes from there? And they could spawn a fantastic franchise for the most part. There's some movies I disagree with, but that's a whole nother thing.
I would argue that Ripley was the one who brought in the last girl trope. Like I would argue she's the first last girl. to the extreme.
Mm, I think technically that's still my go-to. What's Jamie Lee Curtis's name? Laurie in Halloween, right?
Laurie Strode.
Yeah. I
I
think
don't.
Laurie would, because I do believe John Carpenter's Halloween came out 77, Alien came out 79, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I
So
forgot how to spell Halloween.
I would still throw it towards Halloween, kind of setting up that trope.
Halloween came out 1978.
Oh, 78. I thought it was 77.
I did too. That's why I was like, I knew one of them came out before the other one.
Yeah, Alien was
Did
79, if I'm not mistaken, for sure.
come
But yeah,
out.
I would still say, yeah, Halloween probably
Yeah,
would start the final trope, for the final girl trope more than anything.
you know what? Yeah, I take that back. Jamie Lee Curtis, like I think she just won an Oscar too, by the way, for
Yeah,
for her role,
yeah, I did
which
see that.
good, good to her. She's a great actress, but like, yeah, I'd have to say that her between her and Ripley, they were like the first two final girls. But I think
To
that
set that, and that was
I,
set before it was a consistent thing.
yeah, but my thing is that like I think Ripley was the first one to be considered like the one that fought back because Laurie Strode more so defended herself and ran for a lot
But
of the
that's still a
movie.
form of fighting back if
Yeah,
you want to look at it that way.
yeah,
So that's why I'm saying, like, I mean, yeah, Ripley was kind of forced to act because they're on a
mhm.
literal space station.
Yeah. Like she
so,
like
so
it's out in space. What is she gonna do?
yeah, she's not like she can run to next door and be like, "Hey, can you come help me with this problem over here?"
You got a 12 gauge I can borrow.
Yeah, exactly. Just blow the whole hole out. We'll all go. Fuck it.
Yeah. It's like, hey, there's a vacuum outside. This thing can only survive in oxygen. I got an idea.
Let's just say fuck it. That's one of the things I actually liked about what was it, Life? I think it was the Ryan Reynolds space movie.
Oh
Can't remember
yeah.
all the actors and actresses. I just remember Ryan Reynolds off the top of my head. But that's
That
a
one
very
was
good way. Jake Gyllenhaal was another one in there.
yeah.
Um, that movie is done fairly well with the whole how it's really like tense with the creature still consistently being in view, which is what I liked
Yeah.
compared to like the Alien franchise where they really mostly keep it hidden away
Yeah.
until the second one. But the first one,
Yeah. So, and like I like my thing with the Alien franchise is that they didn't go off the rails. They stayed true to like everything up till like
for
AVP.
the most part, see AVP I can only separate because
Yeah,
that's more with like the books and the comics trope, not really like their own thing because there's only set Predator movies, set Alien
that's
movies,
fair.
but Alien 3 is where I felt like it kind of dipped, where they thought, hey, let's try and go back to our roots, was poor. And then Alien Resurrection was like, hey, what if we tried to do Alien 2 now modern and or in the future kind of thing, and we got that. But like
More future,
Prometheus,
more now.
yeah, exactly. But I love Prometheus and I love Covenant. And I know a lot of people did not like Covenant, but I absolutely
See,
loved it.
I liked Prometheus. I was kind of torn on Covenant. It's not that I didn't like it, but I didn't really not like it at the same time.
No, I get
I
that.
I liked it for the aspect that it continued the story and it furthered the story, but I still had questions after watching it.
So the thing was, is that Ridley Scott went on record, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to do um, several prequel movies to lead up to, I think it's LV 174, 134, 137, something like that, for
Hmm.
Alien. He was
Right.
leading up to that. That was the end goal. And Covenant was going to set up a colony kind of thing that equates to where it was gonna go, is where it was heading to. But everyone was like, oh, David is the one that created them, I don't agree with that, I don't like that, blah 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 blah. And so that's where that whole I think really is like, I'm done for now, until he feels like it's been enough time if he ends
Yeah.
up doing it again, because he wanted to continue. I think he wanted to do at least 3 or 4. So it was Prometheus, Covenant, then he was going to do like 1 or 2 more movies before kind of wrapping it up to send it to where Alien took off
Yeah, because
with the
the only
Nostromo.
the only real question I had after Covenant, honestly, was if David created them in the future, how did the predators hunt them in the past? Because they showed the predators hunting like that. Like, it was just
But
it was
see,
just a context thing for me mostly.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I was gonna say, but you got to remember, in Ridley's universe, technically, they don't exist. Remember
Mm, fair.
that because all the AVP stuff happened after both movies had been established and released. That's when they're like, "Hey, what if we put Alien versus Predator?" And that whole comic book started, and books and so on and so forth. Because like
Yeah.
Concrete Jungle was one of my favorite books, and it's the same ones that did the AVP series with the Navajo. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Going into space
Yeah.
and hunting with them,
My
but
my honest favorite story that I read from that book, there's two. There's one where they adopt a human female and she becomes the first ever like human predator. And then there's another one where I forget which tribe of predators do it, but they're called Yautja. They I forget which tribe of them does it, but they go on a hunt, and one of them like breaks off from the pack to go hunt one of the engineers,
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, no, they
he's
brought that in.
he's successful, but he also takes a lot of damage because the engineers are considered to be perfection, like genetic perfection
Mm-hmm.
in
And
in
that's what
their
they
own
kind of
eyes.
did with the Predator movies. They kind of try to throw that genetic modification and so on and so forth, which kind of turned out really weird, but it is what it is.
Yeah, because then you get
um,
like super predators, and it's like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
he big.
it's a little fun finicky on that in some spots, but the whole like final girl trope and the whole like converging of it, like with the we were talking about with Alien and stuff, like it was originally a standalone thing.
Hmm.
Cameron made the sequel, which was fine, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
And then once it got to the third ones, when they started making the AVP series, and that's where a lot of people started trying to compute the two. But when you're watching Covenant and Alien Covenant and Prometheus, you have to exclude those because that it's in the time where those aren't there. That's why like it's really hard. I'm assuming for you to not see where the predators are going to be hunting them, because
yeah,
David is still not the final creator yet.
yeah.
But who knows if we get that?
Because like after I watched it, because like after I watched it, I was like, okay, so if this is where this one ends, how does this tie into Alien with Ridley, and then or tie into the Alien franchise by itself with Ridley? Because I remember in the third one was the one where she gave birth to the Predator, or not the Predator, excuse me, the
That's
alien
the
that
fourth one.
was
No, that's
the
Resurrection because they
oh that was
clone her
oh,
and
okay.
then they pull the alien out of her.
Okay. Yeah, and it was like kind of like deformed, but it was still stronger than the other aliens, and it followed her orders. And I was like, okay, I guess.
That's like all towards the end of the movie where all that's revealed. Yeah, because they tried to clone Ripley like 9 different times, and she's like the 10th clone or the 8th clone, something like that. Because
And
I remember,
somehow she turned out to be like a queen. I was like,
yeah, there was a queen alien inside her. Yeah, I remember that. That's also why they explained that already in the beginning of the third. Well, not the beginning, but when Ripley is getting her scan in the third one, they say that they know she's impregnated with an alien, and then the reason why the drone doesn't kill Ripley is because it's a queen. That's where they figure out she's like, we can use me as bait because it won't hurt me.
yeah. And that was something else that like I honestly thought that was really cool as far as that goes. Like that's one trope in like creature features that I really like is when they have like a hive setting like they do with Alien, and then one of them, you know, can has like they have a queen as far as like a colony goes, and then that queen can reproduce other queens in the chance that, you know, like, hey, this is gonna further the colony, so don't hurt the queen baby, leave the
Mm-hmm.
queen baby alone. Like I like that trope, and that you don't see that too often. And that's what
Well, no,
mainly
because
makes
it's
me
really
like it.
hard to do like insectoid things like that because that's how they structures
Hmm.
everything's based on what the queen wants.
Yeah, and if you and that's honestly kind of why I liked the fourth one of Aliens. I didn't like it for the aspect that it was like, oh, it's doing something different. It was more so of the fact that like, hey, she has a queen, she gives birth to a queen, and then that queen somehow makes her a queen, so therefore it follows her orders and kills the other queen. I was like, okay, okay, all right. You know, it's kind of like a supremacy thing where it's like, which queen is more dominant? It was like,
Yeah.
you know, it was kind of a power struggle in that movie, and I was like, I get that. I can get
It
behind
was
that.
it was different. I like the cast. I like the movie just as a like throwaway. This is a funny alien movie kind of thing. But
Yeah.
the first two are like the only real ones I can really like consistently watch, other than obviously Prometheus and Alien Covenant. But like one and two is like so good, and that
Yeah.
makes me like hate James Cameron so much because he's such a fantastic director.
Hmm.
But I hate how like he's got two really good franchise sequels under his belt, because it's like he makes Terminator, it's like that's a fantastic film. Then he makes
Hmm.
T2, and it's like that's like a near perfect film. And then you got Ridley Scott does Alien, and then James Cameron's like, what if we added Marines and guns and more aliens? And it's like fantastic sequel, Aliens. Like he's
Yeah.
got two amazing sequels under his belt.
Fun fact for Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the actor that played the T-1000.
Robert Patrick.
Yep, I can never remember his name. He two fun facts about him actually. One, he actually like practiced on like not blinking and breathing as little as possible. So like
Oh
that's
yeah,
why like
he was
to make him
very robotic. Yeah, and he's
yeah,
very like deadpan stare and everything. Yeah.
yep. And then he consistently caught up to the kid on the dirt bike when they were doing that scene, and the kid would have it on full throttle.
Yeah,
And they
and
were
we're
like,
for a while
"Hey,
like going
can
hella
you slow
fast, and
down?"
he was still fucking just being able to book it, and he was just deadpan. He I don't remember how long he trained for that, but yeah, there was a he was
It
talking
was
about
like
in
a
an
couple
interview.
months.
Yeah, he had to try and run just perfectly, like not showing any sign of fatigue. That way is insane. He's
Yeah,
such a great actor.
and the fact that he caught a kid on a dirt bike consistently as they were shooting that scene, and not like just in the curves. He was catching him on the straightaways when the kid was full throttle, just gunning it, and he's just
Yeah, no, it's fucking nutty. It's so good though.
like that aspect, like that shows dedication from an actor, and and that shows to me in movies, honestly,
Well,
in a
yeah,
lot of
and the other
movies.
thing is like I just hate how horror is not really fully appreciated. I mean, a lot of people, people love horror or hate horror
Hmm.
right off the bat, but like it's not given like the credit like when it comes to awards and stuff,
Hmm.
like the big reward awards. It's like very rare that any of them actually get to be seen, because there's so many good things and so many different like horror movies.
And what honestly makes me sad about the horror genre is that well, I say we, but the horror genre as a whole has the most Razzies out of any other award. Like it has so many nominations for like, best creature feature stuff like that, for like not Grammys, not Oscars, but like offshoot stuff, and then it's got the most Razzies out of every other genre, and it's like that's kind of messed up because
Yeah,
I understand not everybody loves horror, but at the same time, like
yeah, but not everybody loves romance, but those get thrown in there.
yeah, like how are you gonna get best actor from a kissing scene? I can make out better than that, but
I can
how
make it
many
more
times?
believable too.
Yeah, like like you need another take from that. You good, ScarJo? All right, cool. What about you, Jake Gyllenhaal? You want some? Like you're just walking off set. It's like, who let him on here? Where did he come from? I thought he was supposed to be
Right.
an extra. But yeah, like there's so many like B horror movies that I would say honestly are a lot better than a lot of these rom-coms because
Well,
they're
just yeah,
like
it's just like when you compare it to like all genres, like there's a lot of stuff they're taking risks and trying that shows,
yeah.
and it's not really appreciated. And then like you see a big budget movie or like one of the mainstream types use it like very very briefly or like overtly long of it, and then it was like, oh, we're gonna praise it here. It's like, oh my god, dude,
Yeah.
it kills me. It kills me so much.
Like I do like the fact that like out of every other genre, horror has the most best practical makeup and application awards out of any of the other ones, because it's like how can you make something that's made of rubber look gooey,
Well,
like the
yeah, I mean
like
that's one of the things that I appreciate too, but it goes back to the OGs. I mean, like that's one of the main
yeah.
reasons why like Lon Chaney Sr. will always be one of my favorite like makeup artists and actors, because of the love and care he put into all of his makeup, because he'd always carry his little tin with him that has all of his
Hmm.
makeup and so on and so forth. So it's like, okay, let's
Hmm.
try this look and shoot this scene, and they do, and he kind of gauges the reaction of it, because like I think it was like 1926 Phantom of the Opera, that was all his makeup,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
and
it's a
he did
fantastic
good.
film. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
obviously insanely dated and really hard to judge today's standards, but it's
yeah,
back then it was so
groundbreaking.
terrifying and groundbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's why I love Tom Savini, is because of the simple fact that like he was the hey, I can make that look scarier, and like
That's
he
why I loved
would.
when him and Romero worked together.
Oh my god, they were so good together. I would love to see them do another movie if Romero's still alive. I know Tom Savini's still alive, but I don't
Yeah,
know
he's a,
from.
no Romero's been gone for a while.
Oh
R.I.P. R.I.P.
yeah, but I love Romero's horror movies because his was he was like the king of like practical makeup after like Wes Craven, after like so many of these other
Craven. R.I.P.
yeah, like so many of these other horror genre and monster movie kind of guys, because the thing I liked about Romero's monsters was that they didn't have to be scary. They like Pan's Labyrinth. Like Pan's Labyrinth is a good
That's
example.
Guillermo del Toro, though. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get what you're getting at, but it's all
yeah,
practical effects most of the time.
and that's what I liked about Romero, is that he had like him and Del Toro are like on a very similar wavelength when it came to like their monsters.
See, what I like about with like Guillermo personally is that like he really has some like gruesome, terrifying ideas, and the way it transitions to like his creatures on screen and stuff, like with Hellboy, with
Yep.
Pan's Labyrinth, with Shape of Water. It's done very,
Yeah.
very with love and care, and it's in a very eerie way where you're like, that's really cool, but at the same time, I'm very disturbed because of how it is.
Yeah.
Like, because I know the what is it? I can't remember the creature's name in Pan's Labyrinth, but the one with the
The
eyes in his hands, like
yeah.
that's
First like
everybody's. Yeah, that terrifies a lot of people. It is a very fantastic scene, though. Like, it's rightfully so. It's just done so well.
that's a movie that I would argue could be in the horror genre, but
Oh,
not
it definitely
like
can be, but it's more fantasy.
yeah.
If you technically look at it, it's more the fantasy fairy tale kind of thing. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies he did is that goth romance, was done very, very well, was Crimson Peak. Absolutely loved that film.
Ooh. Yeah. Crimson Peak was good. I like that that was another movie I could have seen being a thriller at best. But
Yeah,
it
no,
was
it could be paranormal, it could be thriller. There's several categories it could fit in, but it is such a good film. I really
yeah.
enjoyed that. And it made me so mad when I was like, it's not a horror film. I was like, are you guys kidding me? It wasn't selling it as a slasher horror movie you thought it was. It's a gothic
Yeah.
love horror. It's so good.
Yeah. And like that like that's another topic we could talk about, honestly, is like movies
Genres of
that
horror?
no, well,
No.
yeah, movies that weren't horror but should be. You know what I mean? Like they should be classified as horror. That'd be a good topic.
But again, what's your definition of horror? Because again, for some people, it's just as long as you feel scared, it can be considered a horror movie.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what was the name of that movie? Had J Lo in it. Oh, the Cell.
Oh, I love that movie. The Cell is more a thriller, psychological thriller, but no, I absolutely love that. It's I classify thrillers and stuff like that into the
Hmm.
horror genre already, but that's right. I already classify Pan's Labyrinth as a war or fantasy or horror because it's got pretty much all those key elements that makes it into those categories.
Yeah, something like the because a lot of people they'll for me I consider horror as the main genre, and then you have a bunch of branching genres off it, like suspense, thriller, uh,
Well, the main genre is,
slasher.
yes, is horror, but yeah, the subgenres slasher, body horror, so
Yeah,
on and so forth, psychological, so on and so forth. Yeah, there's always that, but the horror is its own genre. But how many subcategories are in there is like everyone has a favorite of those, my slashers or my psychological, my paranormals, and so on and so forth.
for me
I
it
just
has
love
to
horror
be
overall.
thriller, suspense, um, creature features, of course, and then like the occasional paranormal or body horror.
I mean, I'm
Like
I'm for all horror 24/7. So I like that. Obviously, Halloween's my favorite, and Halloween should be all the time. I get yelled at for that by my wife, but
I'm
like
I'm
I
with you
love
on that.
horror. I love
Like how
horror
do we
all the
sign a
time.
petition for that?
For real. I know you do. um, it's like, but give me all the horror. But my personal favorite, if I have one genre, is always going to be body horror. I absolutely love body horror, and that's why I
Yeah.
like certain images like behind me and stuff. Like just seeing that just makes me so like like I don't know how or why. It's just like I get so giddy. And it's just so beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Like I love
And
body horror.
honestly, what makes body horror great, as long as it's not like over CGI. Like if you got to CGI some stuff to touch it up, fine, perfect. I get that.
But the whole
But like,
thing, yeah, no, that's why again, like body horror is mostly most of the time it's usually like
practical.
animatronics and so on and so
Yeah.
forth and practical effects. That's what I love about it. I mean, even when
That,
they do like, for instance, a lot of practical effects went into The Mist, but a lot of it
yes.
also was CG. But it's done very well between both of them because you could see the practical effects along with the CG go smoothly as opposed to feeling forced or one overtaking the other.
And I find the Mist to be really good because it's like a blending of a bunch of different horror genres. It's got creatures, it's got body horror, it's got practical
Mm-hmm.
application, it's also got suspense, and it's got a little bit of thriller in there because of the
Well, the whole climax for one could be put under
yeah.
drama as well.
Yeah, and you have that one lady that's like a complete religious nut that was just like throwing people out there as like a sacrifice to God. It was like, ma'am, did you not see the giant mosquito that like drained a person and like made them explode? Like what part of you makes you think that that's like a punishment of some kind?
Yeah, who deserves that?
Like I was like, what is this nonsense she's talking? Put her out there, like just shoo. And then my favorite creature in that was the spider.
Yeah, everyone's is usually the spider. I don't know what my favorite creature would have been in that. There's a lot. I'm a big fan of designs, and I like them like the
Hmm.
bigger ones. So like the ones I really get to see are not my favorite. The ones that you don't get to see and that your imagination run wild is what I love.
Yeah, because like the one that you seen that was like the size of like a skyscraper, as it was like marching over top of them, where it was like,
Mhm.
oh, I was
Yeah,
like, oh my god, that would be terrifying. Like, how do you take care of that? What even is that? Like,
yeah, no larger than life thing where it's like I'm dead. This
it's
is
like
not for me.
it's gonna step on me and then maybe eat me. I don't know, but that little spider one, I'm gonna take a blowtorch to you, definitely.
Well, like one of my favorite like psychological and like creature feature movies that like is so practical that like in a realistic sense that I love is like arachnophobia. Like I find that like is it really gonna happen? Is there gonna be like a fucking super smart spider that's doing all that? Probably not. But the
Yeah.
thought of it is like super terrifying, but so
Oh,
good.
so terrifying. Like that's honestly a trope that I love to see that they haven't done a lot of, is like the super smart animals. Like because they did it with Deep Blue Sea. They did it
That was
with
genetic modified ones though, but no, I see your
Mhm.
point.
Yeah, they did it with Arachnophobia, and then they did it with oh god, what's the name of that movie? They did it with oh jeez.
With cheese. So it sounded like you said.
Yeah. I can't remember what was the other one they did it with, because I know they've done it with the sharks, they've done it with snakes, or not snakes, they did it with spiders.
Well, if we're talking like where the animals outsmarting like the humans and stuff, you can use the Ghost in the Darkness,
Anaconda. Oh, Ghost.
Anaconda. I love Ghost in the Darkness. It's one of my favorite Val Kilmer films.
Yeah, that was a good one. You know what movie actually really surprised me as a kid when I first seen it was Lake Placid. Like I
Oh,
was
that's a
not.
fantastic movie. That's one of the things that restarted Betty White's career.
Yeah, because she was the one that kept feeding it cows. I was like,
Hmm.
How do you have a pet 25-foot alligator?"
If you want to see another movie that kind of throws not like the Lake Placid feel, but with like gators and stuff, watch Crawl. Crawl's a very, very good movie.
I've seen Crawl. I liked Crawl.
It's,
It was good.
it's
But
very, very good.
one one movie I absolutely hate to this day is any of the Sharknadoes. Like I understand they were supposed to be a spoof, but
They
God,
are their own thing. I mean, I take them for what they are. I've only seen the first one. I
uh,
fine with that,
it-
but it's a phenomenon. It's a cult following with them, honestly. I mean, like with any
yeah.
horror genre, like horror movies in general, there's a small cult following that keeps the series going.
But what's really funny though is there is a spoof of that spoof
Oh my
where
god.
instead of it being sharks, it's alligators or crocodiles. I can't remember which. And
What the fuck? Oh my
it's like
god.
it's like tornado from hell or tornado from death or something like that. And I can't remember. And it's basically the same thing. Like this giant tornado sucked up this lake and it had a bunch of alligators in it. Oh, but it's like it's like it's like when you see um the Bollywood version of like your favorite
Yeah.
movie and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh my god, why?
So this
And
this got greenlit.
this like who signed off on this? Like I say the same thing about the Sharknado movies, but my uh but like my favorite thing honestly is the B class horror movies because they try new stuff. Like there's this one movie that I cannot find a copy of anywhere. I've looked on Amazon. It's called Pinata. And basically what it was is this tribe on this specific island had like a whole bunch of bad stuff happen, and then they built a clay pinata, and then they trapped all the evil inside that pinata, and then they sealed it away. And then what happens is that you remember when reality shows were all the craze in the late
No,
90s,
like
early
Survivor
2000s?
and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
They were doing a Survivor-esque TV shoot on the same island that this all happened on, and then someone somehow, I forget exactly how, awakens the pinata because the people on the island were, or excuse me, I'm sorry, I messed up this story. The people on the island were on a different island and they trapped all that evil inside of it, and then they pushed the pinata out to sea, and then it makes its way to that island where the people are
Mhm.
shooting the Survivor type series at. Someone awakens the pinata and then it comes through and starts killing everybody. They have a final girl, or they have a last girl in that one, but as the pinata kills more people, it's very cheesy, very B horror movie, very CGI monster. But as after a certain point, but originally the monster is very practical, and then it starts to become more CGI later on in the movie, and it's very like early 2000s CGI to where it's like,
Oh my god, the best.
but as it kills more people and takes their souls, it also like transforms and has other stages, and it becomes like more of a beast, and it's one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. it it's
No,
so it's
no,
so
I
dumb it
would agree
works.
though. Like, I feel like there's a lot of great ideas, unfortunately, shot with like poor potential, or like not with its full capacity it could have been to make it what it should have been in a sense. I mean, like I
Hmm.
said, like how we were kind of telling how It Follows could have been better in certain situations.
Yeah,
Um, like it wasn't given the full oomph, I guess, to go with
I
what it needed.
agree. I agree very heavily. Like there's so many different things that like I would have liked to have seen with It Follows, but at the same time, like there's not really much you could have done to make that movie better or
Yeah.
scary to me, because it was like how is this, how, it's walking at a normal pace. If I do a light jog, I'm gonna outrun this thing. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah, well, that's also another trope with like horror is that the killer is always faster in some way, shape, form, or another. Like,
Yeah,
hey, look at the guys in our rear view mirror. I'm gonna drive 100 miles straight, and then I'm gonna park my car, and immediately he's gonna be right behind me.
yeah, like like with like supernatural things like The Grudge, Jeepers Creepers, I get that. But like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like how did he get across? Like okay, in the second one, he legit gets left in like in the middle of the field, and she gets into a truck, and they're driving down the road. They get at least a mile down the road. How did he get in front of them? Like how like to this day that does not make sense. Like how did he get in front of
It's
them?
the trope. That's the thing. It's part of the trope. They
Yeah.
do they do be that way.
Yeah, you don't think it do, but it do be doing that. But yeah, like that's why I like Michael, I like Freddy, I like Jason. I don't like Leatherface. Like to me, I get why he's scary, but to me he's not one of my big horror movie genre guys. Like I respect
Well, I
that the
mean,
Texas
speaking of
Chainsaw
Final Girl,
Massacre
I was gonna
is
say,
is
speaking of Final Girl,
slasher.
that was also before John Carpenter, so technically you can even use her as the Final Girl that started it all in a sense. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Leatherface, it's more of the cannibalistic, which is why like House of Thousand Corpses I feel like hits more home for me.
Yeah.
Because that's how Texas Chainsaw Massacre is like portrayed in that sense. But like the way the zombie shoots House makes it like stand out more and is like more guttural because you see their like toy projects in a sense,
Yeah.
or their yeah, they're
Like
fun times.
like I do like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I don't consider it to be I like I can like I know it's a slasher, but I don't consider it to be like one of the main slashers because like it's not on the same level as Michael or Freddy or Jason, you know?
I get that, but you got to remember it's one of the ones that started a lot of them.
Yeah.
So like whether you agree or not, like you have to like in some regard give it its dues in a sense,
Yeah.
whether you
Oh
like it
yeah.
or not. Because I mean, it's as much as like I hate a lot of certain movies, again, like you have to be able to equate like or accept what they are as much as I hate to. And like I'm the person that number one will say how much they hate on things.
Yeah. And that's honestly why I like having these conversations with you is because of the simple fact that like we aren't going to agree on 110% of everything, and I fully respect that because your
Mhm.
takes are going to be different than mine, vice versa, and all that fun stuff. But at the end of the day, like it's not just you being like, oh, that's just mainstream garbage. You're actually going to be like, well, the reason I didn't like it was because of XYZ, and
Yeah,
the
there's
parts that I
actual
did like
reasons
of it
to
was
not like
ABC.
it. There's things to say that I don't like. It's just that even when I do, on sometimes it's like, well, that's not a valid reason.
Yeah.
Um,
like oh I can sit here and be like, well, I didn't like it because of this, but I respected it because of this, and I really liked these tropes.
Mhm.
Like with It Follows, like I liked what it tried to do. Like
I wish I could say that. I feel like if it was given its even like if you put a better creature instead of a ghost, I felt like it would have done better for one.
yeah,
There's like many other ways you could have gone about it, but again, that's neither here nor there because we got
yeah,
what we got.
yeah, yeah. Like I feel as though they could have done better with a different creature, also with like different ways to make it scary. Like make it to where if you sleep, it moves faster. If you anger it, if you anger it, it gets stronger. If you
Yeah, there's multiple ways to go about it.
yeah
Yeah, but again, like that's afterthought. Hindsight is
yeah
2020.
yeah they were like, hey, you know what's scarier than a clap? What's scarier than the clap? A ghost that follows you and kills you if it catches you. And it's just like
It's a different
um
take. We'll try with that. We'll go with that.
like I just picture like some studio executive being like, yeah, we'll do that. Like you didn't even hear my pitch all the way. I don't care, make it happen, give this man his check, fund him. Like
It's a million
okay.
dollar idea.
like like it could have been better, but yeah, like I don't know, there's a lot of horror movies that I kind of wish would have gotten the spotlight over a lot of these mainstreams that are just
Agreed.
B-rated,
Agreed.
like Slither.
That's a fantastic film. I love that film.
I love Slither because it brought together body horror, creature horror. It also brought together like the hive mind.
Alien, yeah, Alien and all that too. It's done very very well. I will agree. It as campy as it can be. It's obviously not gonna. I mean, that did scare some people, but I mean, it's not like your typical horror movie, and that's why I think it makes it fantastic. Like one of my favorites. That's like can be still classified as like a I guess paranormal along with like a slasher in a sense is Sinister, the first one, not the second one. We don't talk about the
Yeah.
second one. The second one's pretty garbage,
Mm,
but the first one for sure. Like
yeah.
first one was done so well.
The fun
Sorry for the
the
train.
no, you're fine. The part that I really liked about Sinister was the part where he's like sitting there and he's like, "What's wrong?" And then when it pans to the girl, pans back to him, and and the lips, everyone calls it a lipstick demon, but the red faced demon is sitting right behind him, and you hear the blah,
Yeah, well, the
like,
lipstick demon was from Insidious. That's that one. That's
oh,
the
I'm sorry,
lipstick demon. That's
yeah,
Insidious.
I'm sorry, not the lipstick demon. Which one was I thinking of? Oh, jeez, I had a brain fart. I really did. I had a bad brain fart. I
No, you're
apologize.
good. I remember which one you're talking about though. But it's still that just seeing the face too. I like how it slowly introduces itself too. It's not like, oh, it's there. Like you
Yeah.
watch the first one, you don't see anything, and that's like the more it's like affecting you, you see more and more. It's just done very, very well.
Yeah. Like I like there's certain horror movies that have came out within like I'll say the last 10 years that I would classify as modern classics just for the simple
Oh,
fact that they
I agree 100%. I mean, I would say like we've gotten, at least in the past 5 years, I think we've gotten a lot of fantastic like horror films or horror-esque films. Like um recently for me, like two that stand out right away is obviously Smile. I've praised that one already,
Mhm.
but like I will praise it here because I don't think I praised it while we've been recording. But like Smile is one that does some things that I absolutely loved. Um, my favorite movie last year was Black Phone, and it's just how everything is
Yeah, that
shot,
one was
how
good.
it's been like written, how it's just done is just fantastic. I absolutely like fell in love with that film.
And honestly, like the I like the fact that it didn't wait till the end of the movie to deliver the plot twist.
Hmm.
It had a lot of plot twists in that movie, but at the same time, like they weren't delivered throughout like a elongated amount of time. They were like, these are the plot twists right here. How does the how does the protagonist get away from the antagonist? And you're like, ooh.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's failure sets up for his victory. It's
Hmm.
done very, very well. It's just so much about that movie I can praise. It's a
Yep.
fantastic film.
It was good. It was a good movie. I wasn't expecting what I got, and I was impressed because I was expecting it to be like, oh, it was him imagining it all along or something like that. I was like, huh, bravo. you
I
know?
I I saw that movie, and from the moment after I saw it, I fell in love with it. I took like my mom to go see it. I took a couple friends to go see it. Like I saw the movie like 4 or 5 times in theater. It was fantastic.
I didn't watch it in theater. I watched it when it was streaming on Stars. No, might have been HBO Max. I can't remember. I've got all the streaming services, so like I just hop around between like Netflix, HBO Max, Stars,
Hulu, all that. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm just like, ooh, there's a new horror movie on Netflix. I'm gonna watch that. Ooh, there's a new horror movie on HBO. I'm just like,
Yeah, one after the other. Yeah, no, I have to be in the mood for it, but when I'm in the mood, I get like so sucked into it.
but you know what I honestly, what makes me honestly miss having cable, the Sci-Fi Channel and
Oh my
all their
god.
cheesy ass B class horror movie. I get ragged on this a lot by a lot of my friends. I loved sci-fi horror movies. They were just they were
It's
just a
fair. It's
class all their
fair.
own.
They
It,
were their own breed. Yeah, I mean, it throws me back into like it feels like a lot of sci-fi horror movies are like what Creepshow was with like little compilations of like
yeah.
random situational
Yes.
horror movies. And it's like what if we took this into a movie aspect? That's what sci-fi was. Like those
Yeah.
movies were like, oh my god, so
And
good.
I miss the show they had where it was the oh god, I can't remember. Tracy Morgan hosted it after they like redid it. And it was
I
Scare Factor.
Scare Factor. I don't think I ever watched that show. I'm not a TV person, so unless it was like it was something after like 2006, I really wasn't on TV.
It was around about 2006-ish. It was like
I
2000.
remember it. It's just I don't remember watching any of it.
Oh, it was so funny because like it would be like, hey, my friend Miz is a really great guy, but he's terrified of I've always wanted to prank him and this, that, and the other. And they come up with like a really ingenious way with like,
So it's pranked horror style.
yes, it was really good. One of the ones that I remember to this day, they because it was they this was like right when the show first like took off. It was like season 2 or whatever. They had this babysitter where she got a call, and it was one of her friends set her up or something like that. And what happened is she comes to this house and the kids, acting like real normal and everything like that. And then like partway through the night, it goes from being like a normal kid to being like possessed. And it's like a small person and like a bunch of like look like the Ring to style makeup, and she's like running behind the couch, the lights are turning off randomly and stuff like that, and they scare her to the point where like she's like hiding in a corner somewhere, got hugging a pillow, as like this demonic child is like coming towards her, and they flick the lights on. They're like, "Gotcha," and I'm like, "Oh, I would be so pissed, but I would laugh so hard at that." I
Yeah,
like
afterwards. In the moment, I'm gonna shit myself and want to kill you, but afterwards, we'll laugh about it afterwards.
yeah, like because you know they got to shoot it first and be like, "Hey, by the way, we need you to sign some waivers to let us release this onto public television." And you're just like, "Yeah." Oh, I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this was not worth it, but it was, and it will
And
be solidified.
yeah, it was like it was so good. Or no, Scare Tactic. That was the name of it because it came on right after Fear Factor. I'm sorry.
Oh, Fear Factor. Oh, old school Joe Rogan.
Yeah, you're gonna
In that
have to eat
hair.
this bull testicle.
Dude, I still laugh at how everyone freaked out about that. Oh my god.
Yeah. The one that would have really fucked me up is when they put their head in the thing with like the spiders and stuff, because it wasn't like non-venomous spiders. It was like big ass tarantulas, and they're like right here, and you're like,
Yeah,
get my head
remember,
out of this bucket.
you stay calm, they'll stay calm. But I know it's kind of hard to see when you got those fucking 3/4 inch long fucking fangs tucked away and they just kind of rear up once. It's like, I'm dead. I'm dead.
It's like, oh, I need new pants now, please.
Yeah, because you can be calm, and then once you see just whoosh once, it's like fucking yeah, okay, yeah. Someone either needs to get me out of here, or I'm gonna freak the fuck out.
My favorite episode is honestly where the guy like jumped and and he moved the plexiglass case that his face is in, so it caused the spider to just kind of like closer,
Like,
and he's just like he's like ah. It's like, no, you're making it worse, you idiot. Close your mouth.
Yeah,
He's like,
he's getting free access.
because what made it worse was he was like ah. I was
Yeah,
like,
the more
no.
you do that, the more you're gonna piss it off.
Like I miss shows like that. They were golden age of like horror TV.
Oh yeah, no, they were definitely up there. Prime time.
Oh yeah.
All right,
We
so
have gone on for 2 hours.
I was about to say we might need to wrap this one up.
Yeah. So yeah, like like as far as like the good, what if the bad? I know we kind of went on like several different horror-esque tangents along with some non-horror-esque tangents, which is
But
fine.
we still went back to the good over trumping or bad tramping over evil or good.
Yeah.
Because it's so ingrained in my head already. It's always saying good and evil. Fucking hate it.
Yeah. And see, like I honestly would like to see more horror movies take that approach, because I know Jeepers Creepers has done it. Drag Me to Hell has done it. It follows.
We listed several. We've listed several where it's technically evil's overtaken it, but it's
Yep.
like it's so dime a dozen, which sucks. You know?
Yeah.
Like
I would like to see a horror movie, be it creature feature, slasher, anything, where it's like, oh yay, we won. Because I know the first Nightmare on Elm Street was prime example of Freddy winning, because at the end of it he snatches the mom into the window. Like
they still got everybody in the dream world, pretty much.
Yep, except for the final girl. She made it to number 2, and then number 2 happened, and then
Technically she made it to number 3 because number 2 we don't talk about. Fucking Freddy's Revenge is god awful.
I forgot she made it to number 3, but yeah, I think he won consistently throughout a lot of them, except for 4, New Nightmare, and that god awful remake. Like, oh,
I personally, again, like the remake. I think it's a very good retelling for a modern audience, but it's I'm obviously biased though because Robert England.
I do agree, and I'm very biased when it comes to Robert England. The only thing that I didn't like about it was how the makeup looked. If they would have made it
I was okay with the makeup personally because it fit I can't remember his name, but it fit him, his facial features more, because I mean if you see the original type of style makeup on someone new, I think you would hate it more because it's like, how dare they use the original? Why didn't they try something new?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have wanted them to do the original makeup. I would have wanted them to try something new, but at the same time, I think they could have done what was new better. Like
That's fair. I can get that.
Because like I feel like they did, part of his face was melted, part of his face was like slashed. It worked for his face shape, but to me it didn't say burn victim. It looked like somebody that had been in a really bad car accident. Whereas like the first Freddy, it was like, oh yeah, he got cooked. That guy got cooked. But like
for sure.
the second Freddy, it could have been better, and the fact that he tried to force his voice, like it just, and what made it worse is not only did he force his voice, they pitch shifted it in editing to where it was like Robert Englund. All they did was they just pitch shifted it like from here to like there, and it was like works perfectly fine because now you can do an impression of Freddy Jason. You could be like, I'll be back, and it's like, hey, that was pretty good. You know, it was like. Not saying that I could do it or anything like that. Like
voice acting is fucking a whole nother world. Even trying to mimic voices.
Yeah, like it's like I can do the perfect Michael Myers impression.
Yeah, everyone can if they want.
Yeah, it's just like
silence.
quick, play the piano. Play the piano. But yeah,
all right.
like
oh my god, I can't believe it's already been 2 hours.
Yeah, like time flies when you're having fun. But I guess a good way to wrap it all up is let us know what you guys think. For
throw some ideas to us that you would want to hear us talk about.
Yeah, definitely. We like I'm gonna put it in every bio that I possibly can. We're open to ideas. We're open to suggestions. We're open to different takes. Even like if you think that we did something wrong, like or we were wrong about something, or we might have missed
you disagree with something,
let us know. We will definitely bring it up, and we'll say, hey, what about the friggin' Janie123 said that second Freddy was just as good as the first. You just had to take it on as a different thing or whatever. And I'll be like,
yes,
you know what?
Something.
That's fair. But yeah, I guess let us know, and then we'll go from there. Glitches aside.
Glitches aside.
I'll edit those out. That's not a big deal. Dang lag spikes. But yeah, from me, well, I will see you next time.
Until next time, guys.
Bye.